Bryan Alvarez here on Wrestling Observer Live. We are here every day, Monday through Friday, noon Pacific, 3 Eastern, Sundays, 3 Pacific, 6 Eastern, Saturday mornings with Jim Valley, 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 Eastern, Sundays with Andrew Zarian. And it is Tuesday here on the show, and normally, you know what that means, but you do not know today. Well, I guess you do. No NXT tonight. Very disappointing. I was very much looking forward to Javon Evans doing another job. But it's actually tomorrow. Tomorrow is WWE and AEW going head-to-head. And like back in the day, this was like a really big deal, but it seems like this time nobody really is all that into it. And we'll talk about the lineups for both shows, get some predictions. Who do you think is going to win the head-to-head battle? Does it matter? The answer is actually no, it does not matter. But we will talk about that here today. We also have a New Japan show coming up on Friday. Fighting Spirit Unleashed, a New Japan World Pay-Per-View with Gabe Kidd defending the strong openweight title and a AEW International title defense by Takeshita. We'll tell you about that. We got SmackDown on Friday as well. Got a lot of lineups to get into here today. Also more on the WWE ID program. We're going to ID an ID coming up here pretty soon. And apparently this person is working with Reality of Wrestling, which is Booker T's group. We've also got an update on the New Day. I think y'all know where that's going. We got some notes on the Rampage, Collision, and SmackDown ratings. The AEW show, the Rampage show. Brand new all-time record low for any show on any night at any time, including preemptions. Rampage just died on Friday with no real competition, actually. And, of course, we got the Raw report as well. A lot to get into here today, so stick around. Kick it off after the break. Observer Live. Back in the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. No NXT tonight. The big head-to-head is on Wednesday. And so far, we have a lot of stuff announced for both shows. Maybe something more will be announced today or tomorrow. But actually, we got more announced for Dynamite than NXT for once, so that's good. We have got Trick Williams and Bubba Ray versus Ethan and Ridge Holland. Jada Parker versus Lola Vice with Dawn Marie as special referee. Javon Evans versus Wes Lee. We got Roxanne, Cora, Fallon, JC, and Jasmine against Jordan and Kalani. Jordan, Grace, and Kalani Jordan. Jordan. Zaria, Julia, and Stephanie Vaquer. And we have RVD and Francine in attendance. Ava will make a special announcement. And I think, my guess is the special announcement is the Iron Survivor Challenge, which they do at about this time every year. And there is going to be, apparently, an NXT presence on Survivor Series. And everybody's been talking about, well, what are they going to do? I guess it's possible Roxanne, Cora, Fallon, JC, and Jasmine versus Jordan, Kalani, Zaria, Julie, and Stephanie could erupt into such violence that it must be a War Games match. Guess we'll find out. So that is the lineup for NXT. And then Dynamite, Adam Cole and Malachi Black, Jericho, Big Bill, Brian Keith versus Mark Briscoe, Kyle O'Reilly, and Ishii in a fight without honor. Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy versus Claudio and Pac. The Patriarchy confronts Hook. Penelope Ford versus Jamie Hayter. Takeshita and Kyle Fletcher versus Ricochet. And a mystery partner. Will it be Mark Davis? Will it be somebody else? I guess we'll find out. And the Hurt Syndicate will appear. So they're both going head-to-head. And no main roster stars on the NXT show. Just like Bubba Ray Dudley and the ECW blokes. And blokettes. And Dynamite is in its normal time slot. So if I had to make a prediction, if you were going to put a gun to my head, please don't, I would predict that Dynamite wins the night. That's my prediction. What do you think, Mike?
Are we going to find out about these results on Thursday morning, or are we going to have to wait a couple of days?
Thursday morning?
Yes. Is Brandon Thurston going to be able to get this news out there?
Oh, are you talking about who wins? I think you're talking about the election. No, we're not
going to be so close between NXT
we won't
and
know
AEW.
This. We won't know this until Thursday afternoon.
Well, I said yesterday, the fact that the election may not be decided by that point, with the fact that there are going to be ECW surprises thrown on the show, it's possible that NXT can beat AEW. I said that yesterday. I'll just go ahead and go with that. At the very least, it's going to be interesting to see when it comes to every 15 minutes how things go, because is there going to be a big surprise from the past, and is that going to spike something for NXT in the 2300 arena?
Now, I will say that if you look at this Rampage number, not sure would give you a lot of confidence that they're going to win on Wednesday night. Rampage was the all-time lowest rated and viewed episode of AEW programming of all time on any channel in any time slot. That includes preemptions, that includes airing on different days, that includes airing at 2 o'clock in the afternoon on the West Coast. Rampage did 172,000 viewers and a 0.05. That is the lowest of all time. The viewership was down 29% from a week ago. The demo was down 44% from a week ago. And keep in mind, a week ago, they were going head-to-head with the World Series, and the World Series was over this Friday. There was no World Series competition. So actually, they had less competition than they did the week prior, and they plummeted. Now, Brandon Thurston has the quarter hours, and this is what happened. The show opened at 200,000 viewers and a 0.06, which granted is not a good open at all. But that first quarter where, they had that weird tag match and like Meat was in there and Mortos and JD Drake and all these other guys, they immediately lost 40,000 viewers. They fell to 160,000 and they stayed there for the rest of the show. So in the past, we've talked about what's the absolute bottom of the barrel, the bottom number of people that will watch any AEW show no matter what it is or when. And the new answer is 160,000. That is the number of sickos, 160,000. Those were the ones that stayed to watch the end of that the last 45 minutes of that Rampage show. It was like a straight line 160,000. They just stayed for the rest of the show. But 40,000 people turned off after the opening segment, and it never recovered. So I guess that's a newsworthy thing. That's the number of sickos that we have. The absolute hardest of the hardcore, 160,000 for AEW.
Which is about right, because what do they average for a pay-per-view every month? About what, 130,000? What are you talking
130,
about?
140?
There you
but
go.
I'm sure some people go over to other people's houses.
Yeah, so, hey, down 75% from the time the show first went on the air. Ooh, pardon me, it's going out.
You alive over there?
Yeah, I've still got this cough going on, but it's going out sad, unfortunately. Like, this cough has got me going out here on this segment, sadly enough.
Well, the Collision show did a little bit better, 349,000 and a 0.09, which is roughly what it did the week prior, so that is good. And then SmackDown it did 1.4 million and a 0.42. So the demo is the lowest since they've gone back to USA, but the viewership was up from the week prior. This was a taped show, and it's a fine number. It's what it was. So those are the big numbers over the last couple of days. We've got a New Japan show coming up on Friday. If you're a fan of New Japan, we got Fighting Spirit Unleashed, which is going to stream on New Japan World on Friday. And the lineup has Gabe Kidd versus Kosei Fujita for the strong openweight title. Takeshita will be defending his AEW International title against TJP. We might have a new champion coming up on Friday. Takeshita versus TJP. Probably be an awesome match, but
can't wait for that rant coming from you.
Gonna have a new champion.
How do you have him lose on somebody else's show?
He's not gonna. That's the point. You know what's funny, Mike?
What's funny, Brian?
What's funny? I talked to
it's a lot that's funny.
A lot of people in AEW after the show yesterday. You know what's funny?
What's that?
Is among the sickos, nobody thought this was a big deal whatsoever. But every single solitary person, with zero exceptions, that I talked to in AEW was like, what are they doing? Like, this show needs a kick. This show needs something. And did you hear Observer Radio last night where Dave talked about, man, Kenny showed up at New Japan. Feels like the place is back. It's old New Japan again. They're on fire. It's like,
brother.
Yeah, everybody that works in AEW wish you could say that about their company. But he debuted somewhere else.
He still has the chance to do that, but they're in such a position with their partner, they needed him to go over to do that.
They didn't need him to go over there. Stop.
New Japan did. Yes,
dude,
he did.
The Tokyo Dome isn't until January. January 5th. There's 2 full months to start building up that show.
Acting as if those people are not going to go crazy.
Please, Mike, I don't want to have 15 people talking to me again today. I don't need it.
Oh,
God. Jiminy Christmas.
God, I wish Javon was wrestling
Back
tonight.
in a moment with more on this New Japan show. Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Warner Brothers Discovery announcement came out, and the gist of it is Dynamite and Collision are going to remain on Wednesday and Saturday. Rampage appears to be history, which we had thought. Dynamite and Collision is stream live on Max if you're a U.S. subscriber.
$555 million over 3 years, $185 million a year. Average $185 million a year. It starts lower. The middle year would probably be about that, and the third year would be up from that, and then the fourth year would be way up.
Big question for me is, are all the archives up? Or going to be up? Can I go back 5 years ago and watch all of the Dynamites in order?
I believe that they will be. Yeah, this won't be till January. I don't know that as a fact, but they're putting archival programming on, so there will be, I don't know if everything will be up, but there will be, I mean, I expect that everything will be up, yeah. I had a little announcement I wanted to make. A lot of people got really exposed, when this.
Oh, no, yeah, save that for the Garrett show.
I mean.
Save that one.
Why? You don't want any heat from these people who
Well,
deserve...
no, but I've heard it multiple times.
I've been sitting here playing punching bag for these clowns for years. And, I mean, this was great. This was quite the week of vindication between that Vince McMahon documentary and this deal. Yes, for me, it was an even bigger vindication for Tony Khan. Not that, it's even though they're completely different topics. The guy who spent 5 years with all these clowns calling him a money mark, and they went through a couple of years and money losses, which a lot of businesses do. And they could afford it, but the long-term goal was always to make this thing profitable. So at the end of the day, here we are. And with this deal, this is going to be the second most profitable pro wrestling company in the history of pro wrestling. And all of these people that, and it's like, I'm not saying you should have figured that much out, but in the last year, it kind of was leaning this way. And even if it wasn't going to be the second most profitable company in the history of pro wrestling, it would end up being profitable, which once you're profitable, the term money mark goes out the window. So anyway, this is like complete vindication. Jericho actually went on the show. I mean, it was almost like he was reading my mind with that line about, boy, did all these experts come off as being really stupid and out of touch. I don't know if he used those words, but they were. Because it's not like this came out of nowhere. We've been talking about this for months. I've been telling people. I've been telling them. I go you better frickin' pivot because you're going to look like fools if this deal comes in the way it looks it's going to come in. And none of them could stop. They're so deep into it. They've been lying to their podcast listeners for God knows how long. So anyway, there's a lot more to that. But anyway, I did want to get that off my chest.
For Lenny.
The best thing I ever did was block Lenny.
Oh, thank you, Lenny. Thank you.
I always know that I'm right if Lenny disagrees with me. And then someone here goes, you've blocked your AEW barometer. It doesn't matter. I know exactly what he's going to say. I know exactly what he's always going to say. So I don't need to read it. I know exactly what he's going to say. Everything is fine.
It is.
Everything is great.
It is. And you don't care. It's not your company.
Well, it's not my company. But I do care because I would like for it to improve.
I want everyone to improve. Got a question. What is preventing Kenny Omega from coming back now on AEW TV to show up at any point here?
I'm sure he will, but it's already happened. Hey, you think
he's already showed up on AEW TV?
Nobody knows that Kenny showed up in New Japan.
So what? So now they want to see him on AEW TV. I'm sure AEW fans want that.
Oh, now everyone's heard about it? Yes, or you argued nobody even knew about it?
They really don't.
As you host a radio show where your job is to tell people what happened somewhere else.
As you're acting as this is such a big deal, okay, fine. Everybody knows about it. Well, in that case, I would figure AEW fans are now really excited to get Kenny Omega back on TV. So now What is preventing them from bringing him back on TV?
He will come back on television, dude. But he already came
Then why
back
not?
somewhere else. His
They
big
need help
return
with
happened
shows,
somewhere
right?
else.
They need to have it happen. They
Yeah,
need him
you know
to
what?
come back.
One of these days, Javon's going to win, and it's like, well, that's cool. He won
here.
finally. All
Poor
right.
Tony Khan. Tony,
Right.
if you're listening right now, if you're watching old big TK Stack Money, listen. Tell Kenny Omega to retire. Void his contract. It's all over.
Can you
now.
please
Now
stop
that
so
he-
people will leave me alone?
Now that he came back in New Japan,
Can I give your phone number here on the
Oh,
air so people
God.
can text you instead?
Just it's
God.
all.
How about
it's
your
all-
email
it's
address?
all
Can I throw
dead.
that out there? What's your email?
It's at Juno.com.
Oh, would you stop? All right, we've also got Zack Sabre Jr. and Bad Dude Tito versus Ishii and Shota Umino.
That's business picking up. I like that.
Kenta versus Ryohei Oiwa. Shingo and Yota Tsuji versus Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. We have got Anna Jay and Trish Adora and Hazuki and Koguma. That's actually a four-way for the number one contendership for the strong open-weight title. Fred Rosser and Filthy Tom against Jarrell Nelson and Royce Isaacs. Best of three falls. Interesting. Mustafa Ali versus Leo Rush. Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste versus James Drake and Zach Gibson. David Finlay and Kevin Knight. And Matt Vandegrift versus Seabass Finn.
Who?
You heard me. I thought you were the Japanese expert. Seabass Finn.
I wonder if he's going to kick his ass.
That was Mike.
Seabass kick his.
I understand the joke, but poor Dom has to go back now and bleep that thing out. Anything else? Friday, we got the Motor City Machine Guns on the Grayson Waller effect, and the Usos invite Sami Zayn to hash things out between them and Roman Reigns. That's Friday on SmackDown.
Hash things up.
No, hash things out.
Okay.
What do you think I said?
Ash.
All right, let's see here. WWE is going to announce one member of its new independent developmental program this weekend. News revealed at Reality of Wrestling Super Sunday event November 10th at Walker, Texas Lawyer Arena in Texas City, Texas. The Texas Lawyer Arena in Texas City, Texas. In case you're not sure where the show is, it's in Texas. WWE ID account.
Whoever named that absolutely believes that they are still a sovereign country.
WWE ID account noted, someone has been ID'd. Be there this Sunday to find out who. And I don't know who it is.
I hope it's Booker himself.
I have only heard one name, but I was sworn to secrecy, and it's not really like it matters. But it's basically like someone that 99% of you would never have heard of. If you happen to like know the person, you'd know, but it's not like it's a big indie name that is way out there, and they're just, quietly signing people to these ID deals, and we'll get one of them coming up on Sunday at Super Sunday at Walker, Texas Lawyer Arena in Texas City, in Texas. I wonder if Booker's going to get mad about that.
Yeah, what was his big beef about?
He was really angry when they brought in someone from NXT, and I said this is going to happen more often, and he said absolutely it's not going to happen more often. What a horrible journalist, blah, blah, blah. And then it proceeded to happen more often.
How about that?
That's what happened. WWE is planning to celebrate 10 years of The New Day. They will be celebrating New Day's 10th anniversary with a special episode of Raw.
Oh,
Wow.
no.
10 years as a new day, it's time to celebrate. Who said this? Oh, Adam Pearce. 10 years is New Day, it's time to celebrate. You guys are one of the most decorated tag teams in WWE history. Because of that, if it's cool with you guys, I actually wanted to dedicate a special episode of Raw to celebrate you. I love Adam Pearce's character. He just can't ever catch a break.
No, can't read the
His
room
character saw the last several months of New Day storytelling, and he thought, I got a great idea. Let's dedicate a whole episode of Raw to the New Day. Kingston agreed. It was a good idea. Thought this celebration would help fix the, quote, rough patch that he and Xavier are going through, I'll say. Pierce said he would start making arrangements for the episode. Man, that is exciting. That is exciting. Wow. Split within New Day has been brewing. Woods growing, especially after last night's show. Crying out loud, this idiot Woods, he screwed it all up like an idiot. After complaining about Kofi screwing it all up. Then Adam Pearce goes, I got a great idea. Let's celebrate him.
Maybe he's actually evil. Maybe we're going to find that out. Like, he's still so upset over the fact that the whole Colt Cabana NWA title Best of 7 series got messed up back in the day, that now he's in a position of power. Every once in a while, this job is going to get to him, and he's going to take it out on somebody in the same way that the Wyatt family is taking everything out on The Miz.
You know, this is one of those things that to me is like so easy. It's so easy. So we have this special show together, and obviously things go awry.
Big E jumps out of a cake.
No, don't be a fool.
No.
Things go awry, and Woods puts Kofi through the barbershop window or whatever, and they split. And Kofi is the babyface, Woods is the heel. And depending on how much life we have left in this, and I don't know how much that will be, you know, maybe they'll have very successful singles careers. I mean, you know, Jey Uso's a huge single star now, broke away from the Usos. And but maybe they won't, because they are sort of they're like brothers. They've been together absolutely forever. People see them that way, and brother feuds never work. People just don't care. They don't want to see it. So if there's legs to it, then you go 18 months. If there's no legs to it, you basically go through WrestleMania, and essentially they do their feud and everything like that, and then we do in fact get the return of Big E to reunite the New Day, at which point they win the tag team titles for a final time. Writes itself. Writes itself.
I agree with that when it comes to Mania. If there is going to take a miracle, nothing against Kofi, nothing against Xavier, but in this environment, I would be fascinated to see them string this thing along for 18 months, bringing them in and out of different feuds and still making people care about them to that point where it's 2026 and we're talking about them getting back together again for one last run with the tag titles. So I don't know. I think short-term WrestleMania through then is probably going to be just fine.
Oh man, Brandon here. This was 25 minutes ago. So Brandon, you called it first. Even if they do split, if Big E were to come back to reunite them, it would make for a good story for them to win the tag belts again down the road. That's right.
Yeah.
Excellent. Yes, Brandon. Yes.
Shout out to Portsmouth.
Yeah, Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Let's see what else we have in the text message bin here. Unless it has to do with Kenny Omega, then I'm not going to read it.
Oh, well, come on.
Let's see. I'm not reading that one either.
Trying to find one that agrees with you or that you agree with?
I'm not reading this because I don't need another fight. With Rhea injured and out, who is the top woman babyface on Raw? Io? She's in a tag team. Well, what do you want to do about it? She got hurt. But yes, it would be Io because she's now the number one contender to the title.
When Asuka comes back, it'll be Asuka. It doesn't matter if they're in a team or not. I mean, that's it. By the way, I've forgotten about her. At some point, when is Charlotte Flair coming back? I mean, the knee, it's been
She's
a
been
while
training
now.
at the Performance Center. So,
you know, it's really interesting to see how she fits back in the mix with this new wave of women's wrestlers and women that are coming up. It's going to be interesting to see how the fans take to her, exactly what her status is going to be. Yeah, sure, there's still Becky is around and some people from before, but it's almost like it's a whole new slew of women in there that she's going to have to be bumping up against, and she's not going to be the biggest star. Far from it.
Person here says, does anyone actually care about this storyline? It doesn't seem to be landing with the crowd. They left the New Day with nothing for too long. Well, here's the problem. It's exactly what I talked about a second ago. They're like a brother tag team. They have been together for a decade, okay? And when a team is together for a decade and they've been baby faces the entire time, they've been fan favorites the entire time, they've stuck with each other the entire time, fans don't want to see them break up. It's not like, Grayson Waller and Austin Theory. Nobody cares about that one either, but they're not going to care if they break up. I mean, it makes no difference whether they're together or apart. I think people want the New Day together, but they've been together for 10 years. It's run its course. You got to do something. But, I don't know. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. We all went to the AEW WrestleDream pay-per-view in the Tacoma Dome. What a dump.
They've remodeled in the last 5 years.
I don't want to watch a show in the Tacoma Dome. I'm over that part of my life.
So this is all about
I
you,
want
okay.
It is all about me. It's my show.
Yep.
Sick of these crappy dumps.
Rico. Yes. Rico Constantino.
When Rico Constantino showed up on the screen, I almost fainted.
If you would have slapped me with a bass, I would have been less surprised.
A bass,
Yeah.
you say?
Excuse me?
You heard me.
Now, you mean the fish or like a bass, the instrument?
No, a bass.
Well, he would have said a bass if he meant a bass.
Shibata hooks a rear naked choke, and Shibata's shoulders were down, and the referee counted 3.
I don't care what happened in Florida in 1973.
That is an Eddie Graham babyface finish when he wanted to heel to get a fluke win.
The crowd hated it.
Hated it.
You know, people are upset that Adam Cole's back as a babyface or whatever.
Why?
But, dude, he's been gone for a year. So they obviously want to do Adam Cole and MJF. MJF is a heel. So obviously Adam Cole is coming back as a babyface.
Yes. Will Ospreay, Takeshita, and Ricochet. My rating for this match was 1 zillion stars. I believe this may be my new favorite 3-way ever. John Moxley versus Bryan Danielson.
You have to
Not a
say it in
fun
such a
match.
sad way.
Yes! It was sad. It was a sad match. That's it, before we even get to the post-match. The whole thing, start to finish, was sad. It was meant to bum you, the fans, out.
It worked.
It worked. It elicited emotions, which is what art is supposed to do.
It was very much like The Undertaker and Shawn Michaels when Undertaker retired him, and like that's exactly what happened, is everyone just slowly stood up and quietly, sadly walked out of the building that night.
There was one gentleman that was walking by us, and he was dripping in Bryan Danielson's merchandise. And he was wailing, and he cried, forget my language, I can't believe they punked out my favorite wrestler like a bitch. And he was so
Wow.
upset.
And we go into that press conference. All I got to say about Don Callis is, man, I can't help but notice he's got a big mouth when he's got Takeshita right next to him, doesn't he?
That was a scintillating question. And I think maybe after that, we're finally, the Bryan and Vinny show might actually just be the Bryan show. That was producer Rob level stuff right there. Need to work on your game a little bit. Okay. Next.
Rob's so excited and happy now. He texted me today. So it looks like I'm feuding with Don Callis. Ha ha. That's what he texted me.
That's not the way I took it at all. I looked at his wiener, and now he's mad at me. Duh.
In the show, Bryan Alvarez here, Wrestling Observer Live. Mike Sempervive, also of WrestlingObserver.com. Well, I gotta say this. Sometimes you see a storyline and it doesn't make any sense whatsoever, and so it's like stupid, and you wish they'd fix it. But then sometimes you see a storyline and it makes no sense, and it's kind of stupid, but it's actually better because of that. And the example would be on Raw, where Miz has been kidnapped and no one cares. No one cares. He's literally, in storyline, been held hostage for a full week. He was kidnapped, apparently after the show went off the air last week. We had the amazing Karrion Kross video, and he was actually drawing. I watched it about 16 times after the show. He's just drawing in his pad, and Scarlett shows up and says, man, Mike's gone. He's kidnapped. Karrion's like, how long's he been gone? About 20 minutes? He's dead. He's dead for sure. Didn't care. Sure, and, Scarlett finally convinces him, we really should at least look. He's like, oh, God. Really want me to get my jacket on? And that's it. Apparently they looked for about 5 minutes and then quit. Didn't care. And nobody in WWE cares at all. He's been kidnapped by the Wyatts. He's been held hostage. And nobody cares. And it's funny because they did the exact same angle on NXT where Wendy Chu attacked, who did she put in the box?
The girl.
Oh, it was Tatum.
Tatum,
yeah. She kidnapped Tatum and put her in a box. And then just kind of wheeled her around backstage and nobody cared. And I didn't care because I hate the character. But it's like, why does anyone care that she kidnapped her and put her in a box? And she was in a box for like 5 days, put on an airplane in the holding bin or whatever. Like, nobody cared about that. For some reason, that one was like stupid. But nobody caring about The Miz, I don't find that stupid at all. It's just like, it makes it better.
Well, everybody knows that he and Dexter Lumis have some history together, so, maybe everybody thinks that it would be justified. You've had to deal with him. You've had to share a locker room with this guy. I mean, it'd be like if something, happened to you and you were kidnapped by a group of Wyatt family members and something happened to you, Ryan.
People would care. That's the difference.
No.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I think
After 5 days of you hosting solo, trust me, they'd be trying to find out where the hell I went.
Craig and Vinny got that thing held down pretty good. As
now,
long as Granny's around, everything's fine.
By the way, tonight, Brian and Vinny and Granny and Craig and Sean show, it's Granny's 95th birthday party on the show.
This man's a pro.
On the show. So you can watch it at video.f4wonline.com live. And the video site has all of the shows. You can watch all of the shows live in HD. And it's just $9.99 a month. So head up there, video.f4wonline.com. It's through YouTube, and so everyone's on YouTube. But you can watch the party tonight, 95th birthday party, and we got some fun stuff planned, including a Granny's 95th birthday song.
Oh, no.
It'll be opening up the show. I shed a tear when I heard it the first time. So anyway, that's coming up tonight. But the point is, what was the point? Oh yeah, Miz has been kidnapped. Nobody cares, and he has been told, we're not looking for the final testament. We're looking for you. So I've also, the other reason I don't hate it is because I've argued that Miz needs to join the Wyatts or the final testament. He needs to join one or the other. He needs to grow a beard, grow his hair out. Just like a totally different character makeover. We've seen the same Miz since like 2003, 2002. The exact same character, the suit, like the whole gimmick. It's time for a change if he wants to stick around, I believe. So the show opened up with a women's #1 contender battle royal. And in the opening segment, they did do a deal where Liv basically told Jade, you do know Bianca's going to turn on you, right? So they are building that up for down the road, as I think everybody knew. And we had this women's #1 contender battle royal. And honestly, way better than I expected. Way better than I expected. And the crowd ate it up. And it came down to Io, Lyra, Bianca, and Jade. Bianca and Jade were about to fight, but it got broken up. And then we had Raquel and Liv at ringside. And they yanked Jade and Bianca out of the ring. And that left Io and Lyra, who brawled on the apron. And then Io gives her a bridging German. Lyra falls off the apron to lose. And Io remains in the bridge and celebrates upside down. I thought this was quite good.
Io was awesome. Why Jade and Bianca could get eliminated by two people not even in the match.
No DQs.
So what?
Stupid.
Doesn't make any sense.
Stupid, but that's the
whatsoever.
rules. Happens in every promotion. It's a dumb rule.
Yeah, really. Like, I can understand if you get, like, thrown out and then you pull the person over. Like, okay, at least you were part of the match. I mean, Raquel and Liv weren't even part of the match.
Then we had the New Day interview and the Miz deal. We all saw that. New Day ends up getting another match with the War Raiders. And, yes, this idiot Woods, Kofi's about to win with the Trouble in Paradise, and this fool tags himself in, gets distracted, gets laid out, hit with the War Machine, and pinned. Do you remember when they got called up and Vince would not allow them to be called the War Machine?
Yes.
And they had to be the Viking. First, it was a Viking Experience.
Experience.
The Viking Experience, the dumbest name I've ever heard. Well, they finally got rid of this idiot, and now they are the War Raiders, and they use the War Machine as the finish. So they're double warred now.
Well, I think they wanted War Machine, but there's that whole like trademark issue that they would have to deal with.
Hey, that's their finish.
Their actual wrestling name.
That's their finish, the War Machine.
Yeah, no, but I think there's a difference between the move name and actually trying to pimp the wrestling name.
Sami Zayn came out for a promo, and long story short, he and Jay and Jimmy had a talk, and Sami said, you know what? When the four of us, when we all work together to take out that bloodline, that new bloodline, felt like old days. Not gonna lie. Felt pretty special. But then he says a minute later, it all fell apart like it always does. So you know what? I'm out. And he leaves. And Jay stops him and says, all I'm asking is that you come to SmackDown so we can talk this all out like family do. And, of course, Jimmy says, he's not family. Jay says, I was wrong. He's not blood related, but he's family. And everybody chants Sammy Uso. And Sammy's going to be at SmackDown on Friday. And that's going to be a big segment. That Roman Reigns segment this past Friday on SmackDown is one of those segments. They're not on network TV anymore, but the quarter hour just shot straight up for that segment.
Pitched to 10.
I think it was, I forget what it hit, 1.6 or 1.8 million. Like, it went way up. Okay, here we go. Yeah, the show opened at 1.3 million, which is not all that great. They had a lot of competition. And it stayed at like 1.4 million. And then as soon as Roman showed up, it grew from 1.37 to 1.58. And then fell slightly afterwards and still stayed around the 1.45 million viewer mark afterwards. So he drew a lot of viewers and they stayed. So, yeah, I expect adding Sammy to the mix, it's going to do very well on Friday night. We had a Seth interview. Remember what I was talking about? He wasn't wearing stupid outfits since he came back? Well, he showed me. Boy, did he show me. He was dressed like Mothman, I think.
Mothman?
Yeah, not Batman, Mothman. Stupid outfit. Anyway, he said one day him and Bronson would fight again, and I was like, man, you just dug your own grave, Mothman. And he did. Dragon Lee and Chad Gable. This was like a great match. This was like as good a match as you can have, where you also forget like 5 spots. I mean, every now and then they would just both stand and look at each other. It was like, what do we do now? And then they start hitting each other. But like they're both so great that it was like a really good match. And then Dragon ends up...
It was not a really good match, but I'll give him the... I don't know about really good because of some of those botches, but I'll give him the pass that I would love to see this match again. One more time of those two working with each other. Give them another shot at it.
So Ivy and Zelina and Ray got involved. The rest distracted. Ray ends up kicking Chad Gable. Dragon Lee hits the Destino and pins him. Dragon Lee got a win on WWE television. The push has begun. We'll see about that. Gunther did a promo, so he shook Cody's hand after the pay-per-view, and Kaiser's trying to talk about how you were screwed, and Gunther stops him and says, hold on a second. Cody and I disagree on a lot of things, but at Crown Jewel, he did not get lucky. He was not undeserving. He was the better man. And, of course, Ludwig's like, what are you talking about? And Gunther says, we both need to do better. So they're teasing a babyface turn, but I think Gunther's just going to do something horribly diabolical and remain heel for the time being. Then the main event, Seth Rollins, Dominic Mysterio, Sheamus, and Damian Priest in a 4-way. And they really wanted you to think that Dominic was going to win, because throughout the entire show, every time they talked about this match, whether it was the announcers or Gunther or whoever, it's like, we have 3 deserving contenders and also Dominic Mysterio. And so, of course, it built up to the big spot there at the end where Everybody gets taken out. And then Dom ends up hitting a frog splash on Sheamus. They count 1. They count 2. Everyone's screaming. And Priest makes the save. And Dom hits him with a 619, goes up top for the frog splash. Priest catches him. South of Heaven pins him. And so it is Damian Priest versus Gunther. Very likely for the very first ever Saturday night's main event of the new era, which needs big championship matches. And I don't know, man. Maybe Damian wins.
Well, let me ask you a question here, because Survivor Series falls before that. Will we get Gunther and Dominic Mysterio?
We should, because Dominic, hey, maybe that is why Dominic pinned Priest last week.
I have a feeling that's what
Dominic's going to say, I pinned that guy. I won it first.
3-way that leads into a singles match, rematch, which is kind of a crappy thing to do to a pay-per-view buyer, but the reality is most people, with the way the deal is now and the fact that you're going to have multiple war games on that show, why not go ahead and give that kind of screwy finish on Survivor Series and then have Pierce announce, okay, well, guess what? We're doing this thing again, and it's going to be one-on-one, and it's going to be a Saturday night's main event.
Well, I will say that I don't remember what I was going to say. You just ranted it all out of my mind. Something about
Now you know how I feel every
Dominic.
day.
Oh, I know what it was. It was Saturday night's main event needs something big. And so here are your choices. You probably got a Cody world title defense against Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens is not winning the title. So that means you've got this Damian Priest versus Gunther match. And it doesn't seem like Gunther should lose the title, but if they're going to do Gunther and Goldberg, maybe Gunther shouldn't be the champion. Yeah. And you do need something big for this first Saturday night's main event besides just matches. You need to have a title change because you do not want this to become the old Saturday night's main event. I'm not talking the original. I'm talking the one from the 2000s that like nobody cared and nobody watched, or Battle of the Belts. Like something's got to happen. So if Damian doesn't win the title, then there has to be the Tiffany cash-in. There has to be a title change on that show. Tiffany cashing in on Nia might be enough, but something's got to happen. Back in a moment, Observer Live. Just a quick note before this free video. If you click like and subscribe, I'd be very thankful. Let's do this unnecessary censorship.
Talk about your Psalms. Talk about John 3:16. Austin 3:16 says I just your ass.
That was terrible. Horrible. They weren't the Heart Foundation. They weren't the British Bulldogs, okay? They're two geeks. And this celebration these guys did.
Oh.
I mean, they're like, Sean, give me brother. Yeah.
A place like that?
You two dorks. That's what you did. Why are you so excited?
Because they're awesome.
Okay. That was better than the first one.
It picked up at the end there.
Yes.
Unnecessary censorship.
He beat him. And 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 he beat him. I'm sweating.
Time to stop.
And he beat him.
Was this edited?
And then he beat him. And he beat him. So. I actually wore that shirt. It just says he beat him, he beat him, he beat him all the way down. Like,
all the way down, you say?
I dropped her off at camp, and the camp counselor just looks at me. She goes, he beat him and beat him. I was like, gag gift.
Brian, would you for me again this week? It's too hot to do much.
That's true. It is too hot to do much.
I guess I just better do it because it came up for me.
I'll wait.
It won't come up again. It's pretty short, so I'll just do it. Yeah. Now I gotta find it back.
Okay.
It isn't
Damn, I'm
coming
gonna
up.
kill you. How about you just it? Okay.
Ouch.
What else we got, Vinny? I hope the granny licks her finger to turn the page. Lick that finger. There'll be
Page
an
2.
unnecessary censorship coming up. Lick that. Okay, let's see. Unnecessary censorship.
So Oro Ethan after the match and gets his ass just into the earth.
Vinny.
And Ethan is leaving, holding his all confident. And then Oro just comes back to life, and now he Ethan's ass.
Oro jumps him from behind.
Yep.
Then he his ass after cheap shotting the guy. Haha. That was interesting. That's quite unnecessary. Instead of suffering through the YouTube chat, click like and subscribe. Well, I just retweeted it on my X at Bryan Alvarez. Granny's 95th birthday party will be on the Bryan and Vinny Show tonight. 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern. You can sign up. That's 8 o'clock Pacific, 11 Eastern. Not midnight, 11 Eastern. If you want to watch live, video.f4wonline.com, just $9.99 a month. And, of course, if you sign up but you can't watch live, you can watch the replay afterwards. All the replays go up pretty much within an hour. So check it out, video.f4wonline.com, the Bryan and Vinny and Granny and Craig. No, Sean. He works for Cairo 7, and so he has to cover the election tonight. That poor guy.
Yeah, really.
Covering the election instead of Granny's 95th birthday party. But that is tonight, and you can check it out at video.f4wonline.com. And, yeah, no NXT. Man, gotta wait till tomorrow.
I know it.
That's
Does
rough.
anyone ever complain that, like, when you're given time, like,
They complain about everything.
I was gonna say, is there somebody that's in like St. John's, Newfoundland, who's like really upset that you're not saying, you always say 9 p.m. Eastern?
No, because everybody does.
Okay.
If he's in Newfoundland, he knows what this 11 Eastern means. He doesn't need me to explain it
So
to
he
him.
doesn't. You don't need to say like it's 12:30 over in Newfoundland or
No.
whatever it is.
But in Old Finland, they don't even have TV, so it doesn't matter. Or computers.
No, nothing.
Anything. We're out of time, everybody. We'll talk to you next time. Wrestling Observer Live!